Altenberg in Germany, a snowy Sunday morning for the season opener of the BMW IBSF Bobsleigh four-man World Cup competition. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you join us from. Welcome to snowy Altenberg. Martin Haven and John Morgan ready to call the action. And John, this snow is only going to make the Altenberg track a bigger challenge than ever.
Yeah, the weather outside is frightful. And the track, well, that's frightful in itself, especially when it's the first event of the year for the athletes. Flat start, drops off here pretty quick. We saw a lot of interesting angles of the way the athletes out of the sledge yesterday. Christoph Langen's got this record. It's from like 1996. I don't know how to figure that out, but the Benish curve, named after Matthias Benish, who runs the track, he tipped over there one day, so they've decided to name the curve after him. Omega, real challenge for the skeleton athletes, not so much for the bobsled athletes, other than you got to get through here clean. 6, 7, and 8, three-quarter combination, a labyrinth basically. Every track's got to have one. And now Harold Schodai, we had dinner with him, the 1994 Olympic Games gold medalist for Germany in Lillehammer. We had dinner with him last night. Exeter Kreisel, there's a flag here, right there. That flag tells you, boy, you better get off the curve quickly. 11 and 12, two-quarter combination, 13, 14, big curve, big pressure, uphill section into 14. Still speed down here at 15, 16. This is some track that they built in the early 80s for the old East German sports machine that produced a lot of Olympic gold medals. There's the track record. Look at how 2008, Andre Lange
won the World Championships in the four-man in 2008, set the record then, and Christoph Langen, one of his brakemen, Olaf Hampel, was at dinner with us last night, still looking as strong as ever, but that start record dates back to 96. Well, we saw track records broken in the good conditions on Friday in women's bobsleigh, and we've seen the start record broken in the two-man yesterday, but a 5:04 in the four-man in gusty, snowy conditions. That's going to be something special. John, on this track, when the weather changes, knowledge is king. And who has more knowledge than the Germans? It's hard to argue against a German 1, 2, 3 when the weather turns here.
Well, Nico Walter, who goes first, he was in third position yesterday, and the coaches told me he fell to fifth, went out of the medals. And the coaches told me he overthought things. He tried to drive around the snow, and that he steered too much, and that cost him a medal. There he is, Nico Walter. So, you know, you can't overthink it. It's still the same track for everybody. You just have to point it in the right direction.
Walter goes off first. Francesco Friedrich second, and Max Arndt in fifth spot. Lamin Dean for Great Britain gets the third start draw. Stephen Holcomb, former four-man world and Olympic champion, goes off in 8th place. And 10th place, our World Cup champion from last year, the Latvians. 19 sleds in the field. Watch out for the Koreans. Brand new sleds for them, and they fared very well. A medal in the two-man yesterday, the first ever for Korea, the first ever Asian team to claim a bobsleigh medal. The four-man season gets underway here in Altenberg. Last year's four-man winner, Nico Walter, with the giant Marco Hubenbecker, Christian Poser, and Eric Franke starts the season.
Nico Walter, this is his home track. This is where he started his career in luge. And that start time, well, 6:25, that's well off the record. 2/10 off the record. And the German coaches, Leo Leopold, the athletic trainer, told me that the athletes really thought they had a chance to go after that record earlier in the season, but of course, these weather conditions prevent anything like that from happening.
Coming out of Tudai, critical to get a good run down the straight, because that leads into the 3 pressure Kreisel. Pressure 1, pressure 2. Look at the red flag in the roof. Pressure 3. Good exit. 11 and 12 is vital as well for speed.
Listen to the sound of this big four-man sled, a lot of power, energy. Watch the heads as they come on and off the curves. If you see the heads snap, that means you might be late coming off the curve. 55, 65, 2 seconds and 38 hundredths slower. So we have a very pedestrian track here today.
Well, the problem with the snow is it just kind of drags at the runners as they go over it and slows them down.
all night long.
Yeah.
And they put cover on it, and the ice is soft, and You know, there's a lot of athletes up top of the track might think this might be the best way for us to compete here because it's the same for everybody and it's a couple seconds slower. Start, look at this, getting in, get down with cat-like movements. Push bar stays out, does it touch? No,
just avoids the wall.
That was a little mechanical breakdown. Nico, we don't know how you did. We'll find out right now.
Yeah, he doesn't know either. Francesco Friedrich with Janis Becker, Martin Putzer, and Torsten Margis. Margis was behind Francesco Friedrich yesterday in the two-man. They are the two-man world champions.
These are some replacement guys here.
Well, when you've got replacements like Janis Becker and Martin Putzer, you know you've got a strong team.
5:19.
That's a big start.
They're telling us that the two guys that are hurt, Candy Bauer and Anders Bredow, will be back. And Leo Leopold told us they will be a rocket start team.
Andy Bredow was at dinner last night and he said should be racing hopefully in Koenigsegg round 3. He'll be in Winterberg again next week. He's very nearly there. His recuperation from a groin strain.
Well, if he doesn't have, I like the chances here for Francisco or for Nico Volta because he's only got a 600 lead here. Should have more.
Ooh.
Down to 1, yes. So I think Nico Volta is going to be the leader here because he didn't take advantage of the start, Francisco Friedrich. He's losing time all the way down the track. He doesn't have that 4-man feel yet, but we know how good he is in the 2-man. And I think there's a little perplexing look right there on Christoph Langen's face. And I say he made his mistake up top because he had that 600th advantage at the start. He should be 18 at the bottom, but he lost by 5. So, and he was neutral. That start time didn't have any advantage down in curve 5 and 6.
Well, plus we're talking 1600ths of a second, and there's been a couple of minutes of snow fallen in the track since Nico Volta went down.
Look at they're going to. I heard from the jury that they are going to, like they did yesterday, every 2 sleds, they're going to sweep. Look at the heads. Look at the red flag coming up here on the right. They show us. See that red flag coming up here?
Just hanging off the roof.
Right, the roof right there. Yeah. That's where they see that red flag. That's when they just squeeze a little bit on that right handle, and hopefully the sled will come out of there.
Driver's looking so far ahead of himself. Your neck is craned right back. You almost feel like you're looking up in the air.
4 or 5 Gs, yeah. 6 Gs when you hit the first part of the curve.
That first pressure is big, and it's a long corkscrew corner.
Power.
So a little delay for Great Britain's Lamin Dean. John Baines, Andy Matthews, and Joel Fear on the 4-man crew. As you can see, the track workers are in sweeping the surface, the running surface of the track.
All track and field guys here. Great Britain has done a great job with recruiting. Of course, Lamin Dean, we saw him last year at the World Championships, 5th place finish. Great finish in Winterberg. Great start times, great consistency. You know, and Lamin Dean, let's give him credit. He did pretty good yesterday in the 2-man.
Yep. They had 2 good starts, him and Ollie Biddulph. They had some really good getaways.
It's about cohesion, getting in the sled. It's not easy doing this. They practice it in the dry land training. That's pretty good.
That's a nice load. You saw the brakeman getting the handles in as he sat down. 5:33 start, 1400s behind.
Speed wasn't that bad. Ooh, looks like he was late there.
Well, the momentum shows 43 kilometers an hour. The German sleds didn't even crack 42, so if that's right, they carried a lot of speed on with them.
But I think he made a mistake right off the bat. Ooh, there too.
Yeah, a little late, hanging off the turn.
He was 2,500s down.
Don't forget, when they trained, John, it was clear, dry, and very much less skiddy than it is now. And they tend to go for a much fatter runner in the snow.
You don't want to be doing that with a 4-man into 13, 14. He's got a little skid going. Half second down. This is not, well, it might be good for the rest of the field, but, you know, there's the coaches looking on both. Take what they can get. 5,400, 6,800 down. I mean, he's about, ooh, boy, that's a lot of time.
But again, in these conditions, you never know what's going to happen to anybody. Fat runners mean that they tend to skid over the snow a bit better, and they give you a little more control in these slick conditions, but they can act like a bit of a snowplow, so sometimes you wonder quite which way to go.
This is exit of 9. That's late. You can see the whole sled. And then this is done 11-12. And skid, look at the back end here. Sled skidding into 14, so he's got to really steer hard. Look, you see the spray coming up?
Yeah.
He had already lost a lot of time, but he lost a little bit more time there.
So let's see how we fare with Alexander Kasyanov of Russia, Dmitry Trenenkov, Alexei Pushkarev, and Vasily Kondratenko.
And this is, in my opinion, the only team that might be able to sneak in and break up a 1-2-3 German sweep.
Uncomfortable load at the back from Kondratenko. Couldn't quite get his shoulders. He was checking the handles snapped back.
In practice, Alexei Kasyanov was flying. Alexander Kasyanov.
5:31, 200s quicker than the British sled.
He's already down 3/10.
So he's in third, battling with Lamendine. He's not going to touch the Germans from here. You can see the big marks that they leave in the fresh snow on the track, and you can see him working on the steering there just to try and avoid it sliding away.
That's good lines there. Very good lines here.
This is up for 14 though.
Speed. See what he can get for speed. And second down. It's, you know, this is 2 seconds slower than they're used to. Or a second and a half.
What a joke.
What a joke, he says. Peter Luders. Well, of course he would say that, but you know, it is a joke. It's not.
Time for first run.
He was in the top, within 10-15 hundredths of the best run in training all week long. And now he's...
Well, listen, it's a winter sport, and in the winter, sometimes you get winter weather, and they all understand that, and sometimes it goes your way, and sometimes it doesn't.
The third place team, the first 4 guys down, it's pretty much stayed like chalk. It was 13-14. We keep looking at the times. Every sled comes down, gets slower, so, and I don't think that's going to change. The next guy up here might have a chance to change it, but after that, it's a winter sport.
Yeah. If you want perfect conditions, go play ice hockey.
Speed skating, put it indoors.
Anything indoor, curling. Next up then, Max Arndt. He could be the boy. Max Arndt has got all the experience and all the ability in a 4-man sled. He is our 2015 and was the 2013 4-man world champion. What he can't do in a 4-man sled is worth doing. Kevin Kuska behind him, Kevin Corona and Ben Heber on the back of the sled. And having Kuska back, it's like having a lucky charm back with the German team, and Maxi really felt that power of Kuska yesterday in the 2-man sled as well. Suddenly, he was starting to match anybody.
You know, Max Arndt drove the 2-man yesterday. He didn't touch a wall.
Yeah.
He didn't have a skid. Yeah. He was on a rail.
He was back on it.
And he was flying, and he had a great 2-man result. Let's see what they can do here. Monster on the right is Kuska. Now watch these 4 monsters get down. Push bar's perfect, 5:28, not a very good start. Decent start velocity though, 4.31. Now watch, I think, the best driver in the field, right here.
Best start velocity of anyone. And he will thread this down.
Yeah,
hopefully with
this
no
is
dramas.
good. This is really good. Only 5 down. He should be 15 or 20 down with that deficiency at the start. Ooh, a little drift there. Down to 1. Here he comes. So there is ice available. Fast ice. But it is the best driver in the world. Watch. Does he make a mistake? He didn't make a mistake yesterday.
This is a 4-man masterclass, if we're not cursing him already.
Still in red, though.
Yeah, 300s behind.
But he just wants to stay close.
Yeah. Speed at the bottom.
Not bad. I think, 10, he lost time at the bottom. That's I still say, that puts him in a position.
Yep.
Remember, the guy leading the race went down first. When they go back to back,
Second place at the
I
moment.
think that's attainable there.
Yep.
But right now, we do have a German 1-2-3 leaderboard, and there's nobody else to challenge right there.
Yep.
This is if there's a mistake he's made in 2 days. Right there. That's all we saw. You saw the runners. Look at the runner tips here. Ooh, he's playing again. A little snowplow, yeah. Well,
couple of little skids.
Maybe he is human.
Yeah, he is.
There's Rennie Spiess on the
But
right.
he's still got a big smile on his face. He knows he's in the hunt. Nico Balter, Max Arndt, Francesco Friedrich, German 1, 2, 3, snowy Altenberg. Sixth of our starters here in the snow in Altenberg. Four-man season opener, Rico Peter from Switzerland. Boer van der Zijde, Simon Friedli, and Thomas Amrine back with the four-man crew. Van der Zijde raced with Rico in the two-man. A good race. Crash earlier in the week, though.
Well, not bad result yesterday, 7th. 31 start, not bad start speed, not very good. The velocity, really, the velocity has a lot to do with the way those guys get in the sled, more in the form. Ooh, big mistake there. Tap out of 2 and 3. He's 3/10 down, another mistake there. Those little taps erase your accelerating opportunity. And with Mother Nature in this sport, you cannot gain time on the way down. You can only prevent yourself from losing time on the way down. And that's not good. Watch out here.
Yikes.
Watch out here. He's still out. Oh, now he's okay. He could have rolled into that curve.
That's the worst 11-12 transition we've seen all weekend.
Yes, yeah.
Sled just went straight on.
I think he panicked in there. 6. Coaches look on and go, hey, he got to the bottom. Remember, he crashed in practice in the four-man. Does not have the same confidence level in four-man bob as he does in two-man bob. Last year, second place in World Cup points. Great season for him, breakout season for him. Won a World Cup. And but I think the crash earlier in the week might have dampened his enthusiasm for
He got
four-man.
a bronze medal in the four-man here in Altenberg last year. That was his best result of the season.
That's right. Here's the taps up top.
Yeah.
This is not allowed. You can't do that up top. And down here, this is when it's going 70 miles an hour. And wow, this back end of the sled's airborne, and the crew is.
You think of the weight of that sled. That's 600 kilos. That's 1,300 pounds.
To get bounced up like that at 120 clicks.
Yeah. It's a lot of transition there.
I really like being in here calling this race, not out there in that sled.
Rico Peter currently lying in 6th position. I need to think about before the second heat, like how are we going to get through 11 and 12?
How am I going to get down one more time here?
He got into 11 late and he skidded in on the snow, chances are, and nearly didn't get out of 12. Justin Cripps with Alexander Kopacz, Josh Kirkpatrick and Ben Coquell. November is strong with these men. They feel the force of the beard. You see Coquell rather on the back there, flipping the little handles in.
Great start speed there.
Very good velocity.
Well, you know, these guys spent a lot of time in that indoor push facility in Calgary. Just showed it right there. The Germans have one indoor push facility that's not iced, but they have another outdoor. No, they do have an indoor facility in Oberhof that's iced. They have 3 different push tracks in the country. The international man of mystery is off the pace. Yeah. You know, it's as we go deeper in the field here, I don't know if anybody's going to get within 30 hundredths.
6th fastest start for Justin Cripps, but he's in 7th spot now, the second away already.
Yeah, there's going to be, I think, a lot of protest.
Oh, long slide across the line.
There's going to be a lot of protest flags going on here pretty quick. And he's 60 hundredths down to Peter. And that's a lot. I mean, he's a second down to the first sled that went down. And I'm sure there's already some discussions and some Swiss francs. Or, I mean, when you file a protest, you pay in Swiss francs.
Well, hard to argue with that.
4-5 there. That's not a very good combination early on the track.
And again, watch the tail breakaway. You know, if you're sitting in the jury, you can look at 2 or 3 things like that and go, there's your second. And I'm not sure, you know, Tom Delahunty's been around the block enough times. I don't think he's going to be throwing protest flags down for these weather conditions. And I don't think Brian Scheimer is for the Americans either. Steve Holcomb, I was chatting to him at length this morning, and he just said, it's what it is. If you get a gust of wind, you do. If you don't, you don't. And that's half a second right there in the start alone. Ooh, one of those.
Brand new crew. Brand new crew here.
Reset. We saw the British do this yesterday, Ollie Biddulph, and they got a really good start out of it. And you have the time. You've got 60 seconds to get going.
Push bar still out.
And that's the driver's push bar. Hasn't clicked back in.
Boy, he's way. Oh, he skidded around the. Oh, Steve Holcomb. You never see a mistake like that out of him.
Well, again, we were talking about either fat runners or thin runners, and I said, what are you running on 6 mil? He said, we got 6.3. He said, they can either be really good or they can be real snow plows, and it's hard to tell, and the depth of the snow is, you don't know until you get to it. He's got control back.
Yeah, but he's going to be...
The first few corners with no speed, it's really hard work.
I think they had a great entry that was fun. I think that mishap at the start lost their focus. But it's the first race of the year. Steve Holcomb, 154. There ain't too many times in his career that he's been 1.5 seconds off the lead.
8th place at the moment. 8. Rang.
Steve Holcomb, Carlo Valdez behind him, Adrian Adams, and Nick Taylor's back in the crew as well. He's on the brakes at the back.
Yeah, Nick Taylor, Lana Myers' husband. Lana Myers Taylor. Boise State athlete, got recruited by Nick Cunningham. Look at it, here's a, oh, hey guys, let's talk this over.
Well, you know,
something happened there someplace. And this had to, I don't care what if they reset,
sure,
but this was the big mistake.
Yeah.
That's just...
Anticipating more grip than there was, and the thing just plowed on.
That had nothing to do with the snow there. I mean, that's some serious problem for Steve Holcomb. Looks hurt, too.
Yeah, he does.
He looks hurt.
Has he pulled a muscle?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I'm afraid that looks a little bit like that might be a groin strain, which is not good news. Well, certainly that reset, but you know, it's almost like there's a full snap in out of the huddle, and you need that rhythm, and it's very hard to go without it. Now then, next up is our World Cup champion, or in fact, not next up. Next up is his teammate, Oskars Kybermanis, and then the second of our Latvian sleds, Oskars Melbardis. Now, the Latvians using a new lightweight Eurotech 4-man. Basic deal with bobsledding is there is a maximum all-up weight for sled plus beef, i.e. the crew, and a bare minimum sled weight that you must not drop below for safety grounds, apart from various other dimensional rules. So the ideal is the lightest sled possible, empty, filled by as much muscle as you can possibly manage up to the maximum. So you want as light a glass and as much beer in it as you can get.
Yeah, it's like having 400-kilo guys. That's about the perfect match. So these 4 Latvian, most of them decathletes. Look at them, in down quick, boy, great precision, 5:26, start speed, 44.1, very good. Boy, but look at that snow line that he had from curve 1 to 2. They haven't been sweeping up there.
Yeah, and we saw that yesterday in the 2-man race. It's just building up. It's like nobody's been there all day from 1 to 2.
If he keeps this within 30 hundredths, he could crack into the top 5 or 6. Within 30 hundredths, hit 30. Well, that's not bad speed. Gets a good exit here. Not bad.
Well, at the moment, trailing the 3 Germans.
Yeah, but he's going to still have a chance here to bring in the top 4.
Dropping behind Lamandine.
No, yeah, it's going to be right to the hundreds. It's probably 6,500s back, but you put him in 4th.
Yeah. And close to
78. Look how much time he lost on the bottom. Wow. He'll have a chance to get all 4 of those sleds in the next team. 10 from Lamandine.
7th place at the moment.
Well, that's the group, isn't it? 6,800s back, 4th. 78 hundredths back, 7th place. We've got 4 sleds covered by 1/10 of a second. There will be changes towards the end of the second heat, even if not in the top 3.
This was a decent run all the way down. Little skid there. Look at the back. Look at the lines.
Seems the runners just having a tiny little steer.
And here was a tap. Wasn't much, but boy.
But those 2 straights down the bottom, you know, they accumulate the snow, and that's what robs you of the speed down into the finish corner. So our World Cup champion in 2-man and 4-man last year was Latvia's Oskars Melbardis. Matis Miknis is new to the team in second. Arvis Vilkasta and Janis Strenger are all strong regulars in the lineup. 3rd in the World Championships.
If you notice, Domin Striskins is not on the sled.
Yeah.
The big, powerful brakeman. I'm talking to him yesterday. I'm wearing a boot. I have an Achilles problem. 10 weeks ago today, I had an Achilles surgery. He's not in this sled today. He was in the competition yesterday, and they did not have a very good start in the second run. I asked him about it. He pointed to his Achilles. So he's on the bench.
Yeah, well, he'll be out till the second half of the season, even if it's not torn surgery. Because you strain it, it's going to go. 5:21 start was a big getaway.
Yeah, but he's been He's had skids the whole way down the track. He'll be lucky to beat his teammate here at the bottom.
So much here depends on runner choice. Imagine a car race in the rain. If you've got the wrong tyre on, you'll just know it. And look how deep the snow is now on the track. On that going away shot from 13 to 14, you can really see, actually, you almost need a snow plow in the track now. It's filling up so fast.
1 minute. How many times in his career, the Melbardis' career, is he 1 second behind any worst German sled?
Again, 4th
He
to
went
8th.
10th. He went 10th. What would he have got if he went first? Which he'll go before the German sleds on the next run, but there's too much. There's too much away.
20 minutes less snow in the straight down at the bottom. That's the difference.
Well, he did a lot of driver error, like right here.
Yeah.
It's tough to get a 4-man sled in a skid, but when you do, it's got a mind of its own.
Well, it articulates right behind the front runners, so there's a lot of pendulum swinging away there. 10 down, Nico Walter, Max Arndt and Francesco Friedrich dominate for Germany. Lamendine of Great Britain leads a tight chasing pack. Sweeping before the start of the 11th runner. This is the USA's Nick Cunningham getting ready to go at the top of the track here in Altenberg in Germany. You can see how much the snow piles up. It is blowing in consistently, John. So it's coming in over the trackside as well.
I mean, the good news is they're trying to shovel it. The bad news is it's not going to stop.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's going to get warmer. And they say this early afternoon, it could turn to rain.
Yeah, I'm sure in downtown Dresden it's raining, but here up in the mountains, about an hour away in Altenberg, close to the Czech border, it is definitely snow for the day. Nick Cunningham, Casey Wickline, who was in the 2-man sled with him yesterday, James Reed.
Casey's out.
Okay, so who's in instead of Casey? We've got James Reed and Sam Mitchener.
Talked to Casey, hurt himself in the first heat, hurt his back. Yet hurt himself yesterday in the first run, so.
Okay, I'll tell you who is on the back.
Sam Mitchener?
It's the new boy. He's on the brakes. So Sam and James Reed have moved up to 2 and 3. And who's the new boy that was on the brakes yesterday? He is making his first 4-man start as well. So busy weekend for him. Sam McGuffey. That's who's behind him at 4.
DeLuca.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, looked like McGuffey from behind. Okay, so Nico Walter, the race leader. Nick Cunningham with a little skid down the straightaway. 6,500s back.
Ahead of his teammate, Steve Holcomb, who had such problems at the start. Might be the worst heat he's ever had here in Altenberg. And boy, Cunningham lost a lot of time quickly, but...
Yeah, he's up to 9th spot. Back down to 10th. So he was ahead of Justin Cripps, but then he hit the snow down the straight. And at the line, 10th position, 56.99. Bit of a shake of the head from Brian Scheimer. Wasn't the most clinical drive you'll ever see, but on the other hand, it wasn't exactly a nightmare either in terms of errors.
10th best time down the track at the start, 10th at the bottom.
What you normally wouldn't see from that is a gap of 1.3 seconds.
Yeah, you know,
there's not too many places.
45.
Yeah. Don't normally see really big mistakes. And there's nothing major here. A couple of little errors, but look at the snow in the track. You know, you hit that.
They have not shoveled down there, it looks like.
No, it's getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And you hit a clump of snow like that, and you got no chance. It just takes so much out of the sled. And we say so much because if you were sitting in it, you wouldn't even notice. But then you don't notice hundredths of a second as a normal human being. Alexei Stolnev for Russia, R12 starter. Max Mokrosov, Nikolai Zenikov, who was in the two-man sled, and Roman Kozleshev on the back.
Well, Alexei, the driver, he crashed in practice. He's got 6 stitches in his leg. He probably has a knee pad on again. Yeah, he does to protect it. So you can't believe he's running. Of course, he got in early.
4 steps, 5 steps.
The guy is
anything to help. In these conditions, anything to help. One spot now could make a big difference at the end of the year.
And they only missed Holcomb by 400 at the start, so he's got a chance here because Holcomb had all these problems up top.
550. And again, I'm saying it as yesterday, that's not going to be the slowest start in the competition. He's got 3 racehorses helping it with that push.
He didn't do bad in the two-man. He had 575 start, qualified in the top 20, got 18th in the two-man. I think he moved up 1 or 2.
What did he do here last year? 13th place.
It's going to be a top
Alexei Stolnev.
Chance to get in the top 10 here. Keeps it up. Yeah.
Good lines. Looks like they've made a good runner choice on the Russian sled as he slides across the line.
That's the first positive step we've seen from the later sled.
Pierre didn't call that a joke, did he? Clearly he's happy with that.
At the moment.
500s behind Oskars Melbardis, the 2-man and 4-man World Cup champion of last season. And that's with a 5-step start.
Yeah, Melbardis beat him by 29 hundredths at the start and only 5 at the bottom.
Yeah. So whatever they did on runner choice with the Russians.
Well, they were fast in training all week. I'm surprised Kasanov has not done better than he did in his first run. And this is where he crashed right there. That 11-12 sequence is where he hit the wall here on the right side. And,
look at how deep the snow is.
Yeah.
Looking at how deep it is now, you almost think, okay, I want hard ice, I want cold, narrow runners.
Which they had all week.
Yeah, you want narrow runners because the fat runners are just going to lead you astray. It'll be like snowshoes. They'll just slide over the top, like when you have a road car with big, fat, modern, low-profile tires. Just slides over the snow. You want some nice, thin, narrow tires to get a bit of traction down.
There's our uphill straightaway. You can see that how with the uphill section. TV doesn't always show it perfectly. You can see there the crest.
That's where the track crosses over itself. The return run underneath goes up to the finish area. 17th, Czech Republic. Now, a bit of a story with this sled. They started the week with this blue sled. They trained the final day of training with their old white sled that they had brought down overnight from Winterberg.
Because of the crash. They
crashed this one and tore the bales off it.
Tore it apart. They had to bring it over to Prague, and they had some carbon fiber specialists repair it.
So their brand new sled has already had a baptism of fire. Let's see what Jan Verber can do with these boys.
He's had some good results on this track. Of course, it is about their home track. Only about 5 miles from the Czech border.
Exactly so. 11th last year for Jan Verber.
Not a bad start.
39, that's not bad at all. 100 behind Cunningham.
A couple of years ago, he had 5th.
Yeah.
Place finish here. And I think he was in the top 3 at the end of the first run.
Well, they've got big hopes for this sled. Their old sled dates back to 2003.
It was an Ivo Delanovic sled.
Yeah, and it's probably older and creakier than you and I put together. So they really hope that the new sled will give them just a little bit more control.
They got a top 9 here.
That was a good-looking run. 11th at the start. They're in 9th place. This is working well for Jan Verber. Like you say, tiny team, but they are close to home, which is why they could get the sled fixed up. 10s at the bottom. Can't argue with that. 56, 77, 700s in front of Alexei Stulnev. And they are 700s behind Alexei Stulnev, rather, in 9th place. They're 2 10s ahead of Justin Cripps in 11th, so they've got a nice little buffer. Of course, in this snow, 2 10s, that's nothing.
North American sleds are not in good position. They're in 11th. Justin Cripps in Cunningham 12. Stephen Holcomb 13. Look at this.
Yeah.
Oh, something sticking out there.
Yeah, that was the end of a shovel hanging over the edge of the wall. Yesterday we had a photographer hanging over the wall with his elbow in as one of the skeleton sliders came past.
You know, Jan was a little sloppy coming down the track, but, you know, he finished 11th here last year, and he's in that same position.
Benny Meyer of Austria with Stefan Lausegger, Markus Sommer and Angel Somov, the 4-man team. The Austrians, of course, aiming to peak at their home World Championships in Eagles in February.
Get in, get down, cat-like movements, don't alter the sled. 5:33, not bad. Great start speed.
Yep.
A little bit of really steer
at the top.
Boy, did he really steer around that curve, though. Benny's got his father's the coaches of the team. His brother slides in skeleton.
He started in skeleton as well. They got a sister at home as well. She has no interest on being on the ice. That's clearly what the male side of the family does.
Not bad, top 9.
Speeds are looking good as well.
57, he's moved up to 8. He's doing really good.
Yeah, this is a really nice run. Controls the slide.
Still in 8th.
So he will be ahead of Stulnev and Melbardis at the line. He is ahead of Melbardis at the line.
On the right.
Yeah, no wonder they were happy with
Joseph
that.
Hoffman on the left. German coaches the Austrians. And, hey, we'll take that. Nice run. You could see it. Last year, he's, you know, every event, he's putting his time in. What's he, 21?
22 now,
22, yeah, he's young.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he is definitely the future of the team.
Starts have improved. Hard to believe in last place is our 2010 Olympic champion and 3-time world champion, Stephen Holcomb.
Yeah.
Of course, they had the mishap at the start, and then around first curve, he banged the wall. Nobody's done that.
And the way he got out the sled, the way he looked in the weighing shed, I wonder whether we're going to see the USA 4-man in Heat 2.
Well, if he finishes in 19th place, points. You know.
Actually, do you know what? Yeah, I mean, valid point. He can't miss the cut. So even if he sits in at the start, there'll be something. The problem is, you know, especially if you have got a side injury or something, there's so much pressure on the body. Trying to sit upright in the driver's seat through the like 5G pressures in the Kreisel could do a lot more damage. But no points could do a lot more damage as well. You drop out of the top 10 start draw and suddenly things go spiraling rapidly downhill. Simone Bertazzo for Italy, Simone Fontana, Francesco Costa and Constantino Ughi. And Francesco Costa was on the 2-man sled in place of Simone Fontana yesterday. So hopefully another 24 hours rest has got Fontana back to the kind of fitness that will be required to heft this thing off the line. You watch the speed. These guys, from a standing start, pushing this sled on ice, will accelerate it to near 30 miles an hour before the first turn. Think about running.
And look at look where they have to jump on the right. Look at that little platform that they jump in there. You know, this is, you take this for granted like a basketball layup, but every once in a while somebody misses.
They're doing 14, 15 miles an hour as they leap into that thing. And the acceleration carries it on down the track. Well, again, you saw the big slide into turn 1 and out of turn 2 and 3 to corner 4. Nice line so far, under control.
Veteran pilot with a lot more success in his career in 2-man bob than 4-man.
13th at the start. He's already up to 9th as he gets to the Kreisel. A good run here. This could really start his season off incomparably well. 8th place. You watch the screen. I'm now going to see where he finished last year. 14th for Simone Bertazzo last year. He's up to 7th ahead of Kiba Manis. Next target, Rico Peter. He's 4th at the line. Wow.
Wait a minute. What's the snow conditions out there?
Well, that might be a snow-affected result.
Also damit können die Italiener sehr zufrieden sein. Schieben sich hier also drei deutschen Teams auf Rang 4.
Lots of bravo. That felt like a good slide. They won't even have seen the time yet.
Yeah.
Wow, so he's leapt in front in 4th place, 500 ahead of Lamin Dean.
If it stops snowing?
It has, pretty much. But that doesn't empty the track. Wow, so now maybe the gates are open for the Barbarians. Let's see what happens. Maxim Adrianov for Russia, yet to come. Ugis Salims, the big starting youngster from Latvia. Yoon Jong-won of Korea with their new sled.
Yeah, if I'm
and
up top
Ollie
of the hill.
of Great Britain.
If I'm at the top of the hill, I'm going, boy, you see what the Italians just did?
Okay, here we go. Let's see what smiling assassin Maxim Adrianov can produce.
Yeah, I would think that they get something in the low 30s.
Christoph Langen's now looking for the controls of the snowblowers. Hang on a minute, who turned them off? Where's the power gone?
541.
Well, that's the same as Bertazzo's start, exactly the same. He could challenge clean again. See how much less snow there is in the air. Is it just that they've got a better runner choice? Have they gone with, do they not have fatter runners? Have they gone with thinner runners? Not so fat as some of the others.
I don't think that there's much difference in the
Look
runners.
at the control. It's still snowing on the track. Maybe not as hard, maybe not blowing in as much, but this is a really good run from Adrianov. 11th, but it doesn't look like there's any errors. Talking to coach Tom Delahunty, all the girls went with fatter runners in the snow, except Kaylee Humphries. She cannot get on with the fat runners. She doesn't like the fat fronts. She takes normal cold weather runners, thin runners, in any condition, because she wants the control, she wants the feel. And maybe that's just, you know, it's a personal thing. Maybe being edged away from your choice of runner by the weather.
I think that runner selection sometimes is thinking too much, overthinking it too.
Can be.
Just go with the one you got and the one you can deal with,
Yeah.
unless there's some extreme conditions.
I'm talking to Stephen Holcomb. Last year, Holcomb did 200 runs in the season. He worked it out. That's a total of minutes over 3 hours driving in the year. And that's at all the tracks they go to.
Yeah, but it's just about...
You know, so much of it must be about feel, not about trying to guess the weather and the
again,
runner.
people overthink it.
Yeah.
You know, there's magic bullets. Not a lot of magic bullets in this sport. It's called start time. Some great driving. You know, and the equipment, I think it's worth 10, 15, 20%, depending what track you're on, between runners and sled. But that 20% is what gives you under the podium.
Ugis Salims of Latvia, Janis Janssens, Davis Springis, and Intars Dambis. So again, 2 new boys at 2 and 3 on the sled, and Intars Dambis face me no well in the paddock here. So our 3rd Latvian sled, 17th of our 19 starters.
These are a couple new guys, too, that they got.
Yep.
Both decathletes. One of them, I forget what he told me, but it was pretty impressive. In this sport, the market share on television, when these guys are on, like these events here, the market share in Latvia is unbelievable.
However,
30%.
The Decathlon Federation must hate Latvian bobsledding. They lose all their best decathletes.
You know, they're all big. You're all 6'2", 6'3", lean. Decent start. Great start speed. A little drift out of 1. 2. Not too bad. It stays 6th, 7th place here with some numbers. 28.
Wow. This
Not
could
bad.
be a big run for Ugi
Yeah,
Salin.
this could be,
He could be the only one flying the flag for Latvia. Oscar's keeper Manis is
That's
8th.
not going to do it there.
Melbardis is 11th.
Right,
He just slipped to
dropped
9th.
6 to 9. That was the exit of 8, 9, and that's not good there.
Okay.
He's not through here yet.
If he gets 4th fastest after this at the bottom, then we need to go back and have a look at the timing of
This
it.
wasn't Bertazzo's run, so
No.
he's in the 12th, 13th spot. But
See the heads rocking around the two guys at 2 and 3.
he doesn't have the experience of 4-man that he is in 2-man, so there's 13,106. He's at 100 behind Stulnev, the Russian, 600 ahead of Rico.
13th place.
Nice little battle going on there. We've got 4 sleds from 11th Melbardis down to Verber in 14th, and they're covered by 1200ths of a second. Yeah, the guys at 2 and 3, the new boys, sitting upright, heads up a long way. In fact, looked like the guy at 3, Davis Springis, was riding cannonball with his knees up under his chin. But you can see the heads clearly behind the driver. But again, that comes with experience, being able to tuck right down.
Yeah, this is the exit of Kreisel, and boy, going into 11-12, hitting like that is definitely catches your attention.
For the new brakemen, by the way, you don't want to be sitting up if you think it's going over. You want to be kissing the floor, head between your knees. Penultimate starter, Yoon Jung-won of Korea. Now, they sprung a massive surprise in the 2-man yesterday. Him and brakeman Youngwo Seo, as they claimed their first ever World Cup medal with a bronze finish.
Well coached, well disciplined. You know, the same way the Ukrainians approach any sport. Golf, they dominate women's golf worldwide. And men's golf, they're pretty good players on the PGA Tour in the U.S. You know, they're very meticulous in the way they approach sport. That's why they've come to be successful in the sport of bobsledding. It's a sport that you need to be meticulous in the way you approach it.
Wavy through corner 4, I thought. Out of 9, decent exit, but bit of a slide. Mind you, yesterday, Kim, their second driver, it was like a drift contest below the Kreisel, and he still posted exceptional speeds. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of movement in the back of the sled.
Well, the way it's rocking around, you can barely help it. You get thrown side to side. Yeah. I mean, the G-forceometer shows you what the lateral Gs are like, 2 or 3 Gs sometimes as you go from corner to corner. 57.04, well, still beats Holcomb. Unlikely to be a medal for them in this race.
Yeah, he hasn't got the 4-man figured out yet. You know, they're working on it. He knows it too. But they've got that 2-man bronze medal around their neck from yesterday. First ever Asian medal in the sport of bobsledding.
It's the way to start your season, isn't it? Medal first day.
Look at all the movement back there. A lot at number 2. You can see a lot of shoulders. And look at the way the heads slap here. Look at all that. All that energy in that sled's not good. You know, I think that they got to find a way to get those guys better fit into the sled because they're moving around quite a bit.
Well, they're getting bigger and wider by the day, the Koreans. Their training is just exceptional. They're piling on the muscle. So they're soon going to be so wide that they're just stretching the cowl around themselves like a second skin. 1 to go, Great Britain's Oddy Biddulph. So Ollie will get the sweep, and Justin Orocampus behind him, Ashley Watson, Judah Simpson. Had a really good start yesterday, and Ollie said, yeah, kind of was all right until 3, and made a mistake in 5, and then 7, and yeah, just kind of... So many corners here aren't standalone corners. One leads to another, and you get these long sequences where if you're wrong going in, John, it just gets wronger.
And it compounds from one corner to the next. You're late. The next thing you know, you try to catch up, and it takes you 200-300 meters down the track before you do. And by that time, your time is gone.
Well, teammate Lamindine, who's never raced here before, lies in 5th place. Let's see what the second British sled can do.
Good athletes here.
Yeah. Looking for the big starts again.
I wish they'd get a British logo for this sled.
Yeah. 5:39, same as the Koreans.
Look how high number 2 guy is.
Little skin, that's Justin Orocampos behind the driver.
Boy, there's a lot. I watch the head slapping left to right. A little late there. Yeah, They don't have these four guys fitted in there where they should. And plus, they aren't able to hold on and ride properly. So you're seeing a lot of aerodynamics.
Oh, big skids. He was up to 12th place, back down to 13th. And we'll lose a couple more places there. Down to 15th, and that's a bumpy ride. Who else hit that wall head on?
There's Rico Peter.
There we go. 18th position. So battling to stay in front of multiple world and Olympic champion Stephen Holcomb, and he does. 57-13. It was a rocky ride.
First time he's ever beat Steve Holcomb.
Yeah.
18th place at the moment. Das war
So
also
Ollie
der
Biddulph
erste
and Team Great Britain in 18th place. Stephen Holcomb in 19th. Question mark over his ability to take on Heat 2.
Look at the guys riding. It's about aerodynamics and hundreds of seconds. Besides him hitting the wall and driving bad, look at how loose the athletes are in the sled.
Yeah.
And, right, look at the heads here. I mean, they're hanging out. Look,
Yeah.
look. I mean, it's...
And the more you're tucked down, the less it hurts.
Yeah. And there's, you know, you just don't buy a stock sled and take these huge athletes and fit them into it. You got to really fit them in like a glove.
Yeah. Justin Ora Campos at 2. He'll need to do a little bit more work on the fitting in. They had a trouble in loading in training. One of them sitting on, I think, Judah Simpson, actually in front of him, was sitting on his ankle all the way down. Nico Walter is our first round leader ahead of teammate Max Arndt and Francesco Friedrich. So Walter leads the 2-man and 4-man world champions. Last year's 4-man winner, sensationally in Altenberg, could win at home again. Snow didn't seem to worry him.
Yesterday he fell away from a medal position. Today he's leading, and again, he won last year's race.
Yep.
But I don't count out that Max Arndt. He went late.
I'm not counting out any of them. Behind them, though, behind the top 3, very tight battle. Look how close it is down the rest of the top 10. And then outside, lots of tight battles as well still to be fought. 19 sleds safely down. And let's look forward to Heat 2 coming up. So join us for the second heat of our season opener. 11 local time, 10 GMT. John Morgan, Martin Haven, and the rest of the IBSF TV crew. We'll see you then. Bye for now.